Hello everyone, my name is Rubber Ducky, DivenDerp in Game, and this is a tutorial on creating holographic numbers, or in our case, displaying holographic speed. But the function we're going to create can be used to display basically any numbers. But with that said, let's get into the tutorial. Let's also slow our roll here just a little bit. There we go. Let's get out. Alright, so first things first, let's show you what we're talking about here. Because a lot of people, I think, don't even know these things exist or that you have access to them. So, edit Lua Script, unit, start. At the bottom here, we're just going to uncomment out a couple of these. Now, in the codex, so let's go to codex first. In the codex, we can go to scripting, element API, core units, and we can see these functions here we can call spawn number sticker, spawn arrow sticker, delete sticker, move sticker, rotate and rotate sticker. Now, in turn, spawn number sticker allows you to spawn a number sticker in the world, and right now you're asking, what is a sticker? I'll show you, we'll get there. And it gives you an XYZ. The XYZ is relative to your core, basically, so it's around your ship, so it's a little easier to work with these XYZs, per se. The number you're going to pass in, the orientation for numbers, it's front or side, and you can play with that for yourself. We're just going to use front. And it's going to return, importantly, an index for that number sticker, and that's going to let us do things to it, including move it, rotate it, and especially delete it. So next, we have the spawn arrow stickers. Now these don't have a number because they're just arrows, but you get an X, a Y, a Z, which again is your coordinates around the core of your ship, or static cores. These work for static cores. The orientation of the sticker itself, up, down, north, south, east, west, and again the index returned. Delete stickers takes in one of the indexes that was returned by the stickers and uses that to delete it. It also returns in if the deletion was successful or not, so in the case, 1 if it was success, 0 if otherwise, so basically a boolean. Move sticker allows you to move the sticker without having to delete it and recreate it, which is just a cleaner way of doing it. Again, it takes in the index, the number you want to move, and the coordinates, the XYZ that you want to move it to, and you get a boolean for success or failure. Move sticker takes in the index to the sticker you want to, or sorry, not move, rotate. Takes in the index of the sticker you want to rotate, and then the X, Y, and Z angle in degrees that you want to rotate it. And it returns 1 or 0 or a boolean if successful. Now, the angles here could get kind of scary if you're not super up on this. Not everyone watching these videos is going to be like a math whiz. I'm not a math whiz. These are pretty simple to work with. They're not terrible, especially because they're in degrees. They're not like radians or something. You don't have to be a math whiz to play these a little bit and kind of get a feel for exactly, oh, okay, I see how these work. These are something you could easily express just a tiny amount of time into and then fully grasp how this works. It's super, super easy, so don't let angles scare you off. Okay, but let's actually get into the tutorial. So we're going to advance at Lua Script, and we're just, I think I already did, didn't I? Yeah, we're just going to uncomment these guys out, and these are just so you can see what they look like. These are arrow stickers. You have to number stickers we're going to work with, but these are arrows, and I'm going to spawn 3 of them on start. So I'm on unit start, and start just when you first get your seat or you first turn on the board, this start is what runs, and so this is the first bit of code you want to run. And we're going to say, okay, we're going to spawn an arrow sticker 3 times, and the first one we're giving it an X, a Y, and a Z. Same way we're giving it an X, a Y, and a Z, and X, Y, Z, and then which way it is initially facing, south, up, north. And if you like these guys, you can copy and paste them. I use these 3 for basically helping me aim at things and be a little better aimed. So let's apply, pilot, and we'll actually see these. And see, bam, they're right in front of me. They work as basically a kind of iron sight. And now we'll kind of get out here, and you can kind of see. Oh, there they are. Yeah, you can kind of see they're just kind of out there in three-dimensional space. And again, the coordinates that they're placed at is relative to the core of the ship, more or less. Okay, so now we can get. So now you kind of see what they are. They're just like little holographic things that like pop out for the ship, and it's basically provide you some kind of information. And a lot of people just don't even know these things exist, and they're really kind of fun to play with. Because they're so limited in what you can do, only arrows and numbers, there's limited utility to them as well. And so InQ, if you're listening or watching this video, if you could add in like letters and some symbols or some other cool things like a star, I mean, that would greatly help in making these more utility. I'd have a lot of fun with these things if I had just a little more ways of communicating what I was trying to, communicate with them. But for now, we have arrows and we have numbers, so that's what we got. But now, we need to create. I need to pull up something real quick. My notes for this. Where they're at. Oh, hold on. My notes. There we go. All right, we need to create the code in order to display the speed. So let's do that. We're going to go up here. We're going to do. First thing we're going to do is we're going to create a table object, whatever you want to call it. Digits. We're just going to instantiate it to an object. Next, we're going to create a function for displaying numbers. So function display numbers in the function. Okay, so we have our function code here, a little function block. Now notice the other code we have here is from like our last video, which is to get speed. And we also have the ternary function. All right, so we need to pass in some values to this. So first, and most importantly, is the number we're wanting to display. Next is the x coordinate, the y coordinate, and the z coordinate that we want to center our numbers around, more or less. All right. Now, the first thing we need to do is we're passing in a number, but this number is in the form of an integer or a floating point, and we kind of wanted a string, or personally a character, but we're going to create a string, so we're going to do local, and remember, local just means that it has no access out of the code block it's in. So in this case, you can't refer to this variable we're about to create outside of the function. It only exists inside the function. Okay, str, which is just short for string. It's just what we're calling it. Could call anything. Oop. This here is a very hacky way of taking a number, a variable that is an integer or a float or some kind of number, and converting it into a string. There are better ways of doing this. Without Googling the proper way to do this in Lua, I don't remember off the top of my head. And efficiency matters a lot. It doesn't necessarily matter in this case. Pick and choose your battles. If you want it to be a little more efficient, I definitely encourage you to go out, figure it out for yourself. You'll learn a ton in doing so. But for now, this is just a hacky way of doing it, and it's perfectly fine. We're going to create another variable now, local len, which is equal to string dot len str. And so I don't know if I explained this before, kind of like math, we have like a math library we can call out to for Lua. We also have a string library for working with strings, and string.len gives us the length of the string. So, however many characters long the string is, we'll get that number. So if it's, taco, we'll get back 4. If it's 5, ironically, we'll get back 5, If it's duck, we'll get back 4, like just the length of the string. And so we need that as an integer. Okay, next we're going to create a for loop. For k, v, and I'll explain what I'm doing here in a second. Pairs, digits, and digits is that array we created up here, or the object table, whatever you want to call it. Do, end. Okay, and so what a for loop is a chunk of code, kind of like a function, but it's not a function, but it's like a function that like it contains code. And in here, we're creating some local variables, k and v, which are just created for us by the for loop declaration up here. And we're saying, okay, and pairs is, I'm gonna lie, I'm not sure exactly what pairs does, but it allows us to iterate over objects and stuff like that. Objects, arrays, in kind of a cleaner way. And key stands for the key and the value. Now, I could call these whatever I want, but by calling it key and v, it just keeps it more in line for what we do. And basically, for every element in this digits, object, table, array, whatever it is, we are going to perform some code that exists inside this chunk here. And for us, it's going to be deleting a sticker. So core dot delete, oh my gosh, delete sticker. And we're going to pass it the index, which is the v, I believe. Yep, that's what it is. Okay, and so for every number we have stored, or index we stored, and that's what we're throwing in here, by the way. I don't know if I said that earlier. In digits is used to store the indexes that are returned by the create spawn, or by spawning the stickers. When you create them, they return an index that is unique to that one you spawned, so that we can work with it. And in this case, we're going to delete it. That way, we're deleting it because we want to change what number it is, potentially. Okay, and then next, we need another for loop. Oh yeah, real quick. And so, for every digit in the digits, we're just call this array. For every digit in the digits array, it's going to call this and basically delete it. So we're getting rid of all the different spawn stickers, and we're gonna have another for loop here. So for, and this is gonna be a different type of for loop. I equal 1 for the len. Oops, len 1 do. It gets a code block, so it's gonna end. All right, and so what this is saying is we're setting this internal local variable to I for the for loop, and we're saying, okay, set it to 1. Now for the length of the string, and what that means is yi is less than or equal to the length of the string, do what's ever here, and then when you're done, increment I by 1. Now you can also increment I by 2 or 3 or 4, but since we don't want to skip anything, we only do for every character in the length of that string, we want to do 1. So we want to do for every 1. So now we're going to do local. So this is local to this for loop, just like I is. Local digits, so not digits, digit equal to number, and to number is a non-hacky way of taking a string and making it a number again. And so we're going to do string, so there's our string library, and we're going to get another one like len but different called sub, and we're going to pass in the string that we're wanting to work on, and now we're going to pass in an index, which is I. And remember, I is going to go from 1 to the length of the string, and we're going to do I twice. So the string we're working on, okay, so let me clarify. For sub, for the string.sub function, we pass in a string we want to work on, and then we say, okay, now I want the character of the string at index I, so we're treating string as an array, and we're saying, okay, at I and until I, give me those characters. Now, since we're saying, 1 to 1, or 2 to 2, or 3 to 3, it's only going to ever return one character, which is what we want in this case. We only want one character. So from index I to index I, return that character. And in this for loop, it's going to iterate over every character and the length of the string up here, which is our number we're going to pass in. Okay, and so now we're getting the digit that is at that number so that we can pass it into digits I. So we're treating digits like an array here. So for every point on digits, so index in this case 1, and then when it iterates over for the length, it'll be index 2, and then index 3, and index 4. So we're writing to each index of the digits array, object, whatever you want to call it. And we're going to spawn our stickers here. So core dot spawn number sticker digit. So the digit we want to display, which is, you know, whatever digit it is. Now, this next one is a bit of black magic, and I'm not going to take the time to actually go into how it works exactly, but I am going to go into what it's doing. And this is just... Let me actually copy it over. Copy. Bam. Okay, so what this here does is we're putting in the X for where we want the sticker to spawn. Now, the way the stickers work, if you play with them, you'll notice they're kind of, when you start like updating them, they can be kind of janky, especially when you're dealing with multiple next to each other. And this is just a function, and we need to change some of these variables, because those are, they look like ones, they're actually L's. We just need to change them to be len, so that they match what we're actually doing in this example. Len, there. And what's basically going on here is this is kind of a de-janktification of the way to spawn numbers. They spawn in, so it makes it less janky when it's going between odd and even numbers, or not odd and even as the numbers are odd and even, but the number of digits in a number is odd or even. So, you know, 1 digit is odd, 2 digits is even, 3 digits is odd. And it kind of helps prevent it from being too janky. It doesn't take away all the jankiness, but it takes away most of the jankiness. You'll kind of see. And if you want to, I only invested a little bit of time into this. You could definitely invest more time and make it definitely less janky, and I encourage you to do so. All right, moving on. We're going to pass in the Y, and the Z that we're passing the function. And then as well as the type of sticker, or a type of orientation we want the spawn number to have, which is just going to be front. Okay, so there we go. That should be all we need there. And so, again, what this is doing is it's ripping apart the string representation of the number, and for each digit in the number, it is spawning a sticker, figuring out where to display it, and then throwing the index return, which is unique to that sticker, into our digits array. And that should be all we need to do here, so we can kind of clean this up a little bit. All right, next we need to delete the stickers when we turn the ship off. So if we don't delete the stickers before we turn the ship off, then once we get out of the ship, the numbers are still going to be there, and it's going to look janky. We don't want that, so we're going to go back to unit, stop, and here we're going to do just a simple for loop. For I equals 0, 25, 1, do core dot delete sticker I. And so what we're saying here is, I know from experience that the index for the stickers is not going to go over 25. So I'm just saying at the end of everything done, I don't care about efficiency here. I don't care about, you know, getting the link to the digits array and figuring out whichever, like, This is only happening when I exit a vehicle. I don't care if it's a little inefficient. So I'm just saying, okay, I know it's not going to be more than 25. So from 0 to 25, delete the sticker. Very simple. Like, it could not get more simple. If you want to make it more efficient, and grab like the length of the digits array, and then for each one of those, delete that. More power to you. Picking and choosing my battles, this is fine for me. All right. So now we need to call our display numbers function, but for that we need to create something. So we could call this from the update function. So the system.update, which gets called every frame that's generated. I want a little more control over that. A little more control than what you would get from that. So we're going to do something a little different. We're going to go to unit, and we're going to create a timer. So, or a tick. I guess it's really a tick, not a timer. And we're going to call this one float. And what's going to happen is this is now a chunk of code. So you can think of the tick and start as basically functions that can hold other functions, or you can call code as a way of thinking of these guys. It calls them filters. It's better to think of them as functions, really. And these get called under certain circumstances. Tick, float, will get called basically when we, in a loop, when we tell it to get called. So it's time-based, but we get to control the time basing, more or less. Okay, and so for this, we're going to display numbers. So display numbers, our function we created. We're going to pass in math.floor, which again, just rounds the number down. And we're going to do our get speed function here. And because we don't want the decimal places that kind of comes with the get speed, we're going to do point times 0.001, and an asterisk in this context, like of dealing with numbers, is a multiplication. So just, if that's not evident, we're multiplying the result of get speed times 0.001, and it just kind of cleans up the number for us a little bit. It's a little black magic hackery, but again, picking and choosing our battles, we're not going to get too deep into that. And then negative 0.8, negative 7.5, this is my x, and then my y, and then for my z, we're going to do 5.35, and these numbers are going to be based on wherever you want to display it. I just happen to have these wrote down because I know where to go on my ship. But for you, you're going to have to play with this, and it is a bit tedious, but you'll eventually figure out where they would go or where you want them on your ship, and, you have to spend some time to get it just right for yourself. I had to spend time on mine. All right, so now we have the float, but now we need to actually tell the system that we have this ticker. We want it to actually tick. So let's go to unit, start, at the very bottom here, almost very bottom. We're going to go unit.set timer, and we're going to tell which timer, which is float. So remember we named our tick up here float. And now we're going to say, okay, we want it to be called every 0.5 seconds. So every 0.5 seconds, the system is at least going to attempt to call float, which is our code up here, and basically updates our number stickers. And this just gives us a little more control about how often this is called. And so now some people like this number to update slowly, either because their system's not the greatest and it just helps, deload some of the stress of the numbers, or some people just kind of like the aesthetic of it, like the slower updating numbers. I like mine to be a little clear, but the idea here is the larger this number, the less often it calls. The smaller this number, the more often it gets called. And it just gives you a little more control about how often something gets called. That's all that is. All right, that should be everything we need, I think. Let's get in the ship and see. Do we get any errors? No errors immediately. Let's go to the back of the ship. Oh, and hey, look. There they are. As you can see, there's no screens. These are just floating numbers. Okay, so let's... Okay, yeah. Now, let's spool up the engines here. And you can see they're just kind of updating. Okay, now sales are opening kind of slow. I think I did something wrong. Let me... Okay, so advanced. Hit up Lua Script. Unit. Start. Yes, I did 0.5. I meant 0.5. So, a little more often, we'll say. So it's a little cleaner looking. My personal preference. You know, some people do like that slower look. Okay, so now let's brake. Yeah, and see how much smoother that is? Super smooth. Alright, that's close. Let's rock it. We can back up a little bit here. And the numbers just increase, and it's with the speed here. Now, you could throw any number in here. We're throwing in speed because I think that's cool. Like, that's just my opinion. You could throw anything in here. You could throw into gravity. You could throw in, if you're AG, you could throw into singularity. You know, all kinds of things. This is just the speed for me, but you could use it for whatever. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. The classic YouTube thing, like, subscribe. If you found it really useful, use my recruiter code. I really want those sweet, sweet recruiter rewards. But I hope you did enjoy the video. I hope you found it useful, and in this case, I hope you found it fun. If you have questions, obviously reach out to me in game or in Discord or YouTube comments. And also, I'm curious. I don't normally ask for comments after my videos. I don't particularly care. I mean, I'm happy when people do comment, but I mean, it's not something I prioritize. But in this video, I am going to ask. All my videos up to this point have been tutorials on how to do something particularly, and less about learning to code. Of the people who actually watch my videos to completion, I'm curious how many of you guys prefer videos like this one where you're learning how to do something, like a particular task, or if some of you would be more interested in some videos pertaining to just learning how to Lua in general. So less about accomplishing a task and more about just learning how to use Lua in general, especially Lua in DU. I plan to do all videos eventually, but I've been focusing more on the tutorials on how to do something specific, because when you're doing videos on learning how to program, there really wouldn't be a great reward at the end. It would just be knowledge, and it would take a while before you got any kind of real use out of it, because, you know, learning to program as opposed to just following a tutorial is a longer process. But for those of you who are interested in actually learning to program, if there's enough of you, I'd like to do some of those videos sooner than later. But I'm just curious, you know, do you prefer the videos that are tutorial based, or the videos on actually learning how to do Lua in DU? Let me know in a comment. If you want, just reach me in Discord. Just, you know, let me know your opinion. Or Reddit. I usually post these on Reddit. Again, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Rubber Ducky out.